What is this video you wanted to show us, John?
So the two reasons why I want to show this video. I'll just play it.
Sure, sure.
So yeah, I mean the one is of course to showcase the notebook LM's capability. The other is there is an AI component coming in this story itself. So I'll
Nice.
just share my screen. You can see it, no?
Yeah.
So let's talk about one of the strangest stories in modern conservation. We're going to the Florida Everglades, where a massive multi-million-dollar project went catastrophically and, as you'll see, brilliantly wrong. It's a wild ride, and it might just change how you think about fighting invasive species forever. And that's the thing, right? That's the crazy paradox we're going to unpack here. How could a plan that was, by all accounts, a complete and total disaster also end up being the biggest breakthrough in a war that had been going on for decades? It doesn't make sense until it does. All right, so let's start at the beginning, or what everyone thought was the end. Let's talk about this high-tech failure and how the perfect bait ended up catching the absolute wrong predator. Okay, so here was the plan, and it sounds like something straight out of a movie. Scientists built this whole army of super realistic robotic rabbits. And I mean, they went all out. These things were designed to perfectly mimic a python's favorite meal, right down to radiating a 99-degree body heat and even puffing out a synthetic rabbit musk. And get this, they weren't cheap. Each one of these robo bunnies cost $4,000 to build. They made 120 of them. That's nearly $500,000 of taxpayer money, banking on the idea that these high-tech decoys could finally give us an edge. But the swamp had other plans. The robots worked a little too well. Just 3 days after they put them out there, the whole project went completely off the rails. It turns out alligators, the python's ancient enemy, found these easy meals first, and they began to systematically hunt down and literally crush the expensive robots into scrap metal. It wasn't just a failure, it was a multi-million-dollar alligator buffet. Now, to understand why Florida would even try something so wild, we've got to back up and look at just how desperate the situation had become. The Everglades, this incredible, vast river of grass, was literally being choked to death in silence. You know, this whole mess was a man-made problem. It started back in the 80s with the exotic pet trade, but then came the 1-2 punch. In 1992, Hurricane Andrew tore through the area and just demolished reptile breeding facilities, letting who knows how many snakes escape into the wild. And in the warm, wet paradise of the Everglades, with nothing to hunt them, their population just exploded. And when I say exploded, I mean look at these numbers. It's truly terrifying. The effect on the local food web was catastrophic. In the areas where pythons took over mammal populations, we're talking raccoons, opossums, marsh rabbits, they didn't just decline, they plummeted by over 90%. They were effectively wiped out. And this is the engine driving the whole disaster. A single female can lay up to 100 eggs at a time. 100. When you think about that math, you realize you're not just fighting snakes, you are fighting an unstoppable exponential wave of them. So as you can imagine, for years, officials were just throwing everything they could at this problem. It was a long, slow, and for the most part, a completely losing battle. I mean, they tried it all. They started with these big public hunts, the Python Challenge, which was really more of a PR event than a real solution. Then they brought in professional hunters, but that was incredibly expensive and barely made a dent. They got clever and used radio-tagged Judas snakes to lead them to others, and even brought in highly trained scent dogs. And look, each idea worked a little, but nothing could be scaled up to solve a problem across 1.5 million acres. The place is just too big. This desperation led them to a really controversial experiment. They tried using live rabbits in protected pens as bait. And guess what? It worked perfectly. Pythons were drawn in like a magnet. But as you can probably guess, the public outcry over animal cruelty was immediate and fierce. The program got shut down fast. But it left them with one crucial piece of information. Scent was the key. They just had no ethical way to use it. And that is what led them to build a better bait. Okay, so let's get back to that pile of crushed gator-chewed robots. Just as everyone was about to pull the plug on this whole embarrassing disaster, a young data analyst who was poring over the wreckage noticed something in the data that everybody else had missed. And this right here is where the entire story completely flips on its head. This analyst asks a radical question. What if the robots weren't designed to actually capture snakes? What if their destruction was part of the plan all along? Because here was the secret. The robots weren't just bait. They were spies. In their very short lives, before getting destroyed, each one was a little mobile data station. It was logging everything: the time of day, the temperature of every encounter, thermal images, motion-triggered camera footage of every animal that went by. They were secretly building a massive database on how predators moved through the Everglades. And this hidden data would let them do something nobody thought was possible. It would let them stop just hunting the pythons and start hacking the invasion itself. So they took all of that data, every single gator attack, every thermal image, and they fed it into a powerful AI. And the AI found a pattern that no human ever could have seen. The pythons weren't just moving randomly. No, they were actively using these hidden highways through the swamp, specifically to avoid alligators. By tracking the gators, the robots had accidentally mapped the python's fear. And this just brilliantly shows the shift in thinking. The old way was totally passive, right? You just sit and wait for a snake to wander into your trap. The new way, armed with the AI's predictions, was proactive. They could go on offense. They could intercept the snakes on the very routes they used when they thought they were safe. The results were immediate and staggering. The AI predicted the movements of the big breeding females, leading hunters straight to their nests. In just 1 month, they found and removed thousands of eggs. That's more potential pythons than had been captured in the entire previous year. For the first time ever, they were attacking the invasion at its source. All that failure, all those crushed robots, all that money, it was all worth it. The project that everyone called a disaster had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They had, as one source put it, stumbled backward into something huge. They had hacked the invasion. But this incredible victory, right, achieved through AI and predictive hunting, it opens up a much bigger and honestly, a much more uncomfortable conversation. It forces us to look at this moral puzzle that sits at the very heart of modern conservation. And it's this strange, difficult irony of our time. In the name of saving life, we often find ourselves forced to take it. And look, this is not just a Florida problem. Around the entire world, we are facing the same dilemma: culling gray squirrels in Britain to save the native red ones, killing feral cats in Australia to protect native birds, spearing invasive lionfish in the Caribbean to save coral reefs. In every single one of these cases, we are forced to decide which lives are worth saving. Which really brings us to our final question. When we intervene like this, whether it's with a robot rabbit or a government hunt, are we truly restoring some kind of natural balance? Or are we just enforcing the version of nature that we happen to prefer? It's the uncomfortable truth that so often we are both the hero and the executioner in nature's story.
Sorry, it was
Nice.
long. It was it was
No,
also
nice, nice. I mean, I think we had to go through the entire thing to fully uh, digest it, right, or get the whole picture.
Relentless. I was reading somewhere, that if you kill a cockroach, you're a villain. And if you kill a butterfly, no, if you kill a cockroach, you're a hero. And if you kill a butterfly, you're a hero. You're a whatever. You're a villain, right? And so basically, I think that even standards of cruelty, of ethical standards actually have a backstory in how things look.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
there's a very similar story in the Andamans. I don't know if you're aware of this. So when the tsunami hit, right? So there was a lot of fish cultivation that used to go on. So the Andamans also, overall, it's a very interesting story. If you've gone to the Andamans, you know that most of them speak Bengali. And because in the 50s, the government settled the Andamans with people from well, there's still ferry services to Calcutta and etc. out of the Andamans. Right? So when the this thing hit, when the tsunami hit, it destroyed all of the fish ponds completely. Just ripped everything up and threw them away, right? So they sent restock. So they sent these little, whatever those little fish are called, like fries, I think they're called, from the mainland, from Tamil Nadu and things like that. What happened was something called an animal called the African bullfrog was also by mistake sent there with these fry, right? And they became an invasive species. Each of these are a kg, each of these frogs, right?
Mm,
And they just absolutely, of course, again, did exactly the same thing, destroyed all the local stuff and started. And the thing is, they started moving inland because they were not able to find food. Behind them came the crocodiles,
oh
right?
shit.
And first time in many years, the
Mm,
Andamans started reporting crocodile attacks on human beings. The crocodiles in the Andamans are they saltwater crocodiles, very very big, right? But they stay only in one particular part, close to the sea. The Radhanagar and all that, there are a lot of rocks there, right? Where we go. But they started moving inland, moving with the because one frog was a kilogram or a kilogram
right.
and a half. So they started moving inland with the frogs, and of course, kids were stepping on them, whatever, and there were actual crocodile attacks in the animals on humans in like forever. The first time in 2030.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, yeah. In the name of conservation, I think we mess up ecosystems which we are not even aware of.
yeah.
There are a bunch of other stories also. I think the fantail lizard or fantail, no, not fantail. One of those lizards. They
Pan-throated or
pan-throated,
this was
yeah. Pan-throated lizard population went up somewhere in Maharashtra after they installed wind turbines, and didn't know what is the correlation, right? How did that happen? Basically, because of wind turbines, their predator, which is the raptors, they stopped stooping down. They stopped attacking them. Their
Uh,
population just exploded. So yeah, whatever we do, I think there is a this thing. But anyway, my point of showing this was not conservation at all.
conservation conversation.
But basically, this video was one YouTube video and one article that I wrote about conservation. As in, like, I wrote something about when conservation means killing, I'd written. And it's just that blog post and one YouTube video which talked about this robotic rabbit. That's it. Those were the two sources given to Notebook LM, and it created this video. Now, what is interesting is that you see the graphics. It's like it's all fully created. There is no input given. I have not given them anything other than just one YouTube video and one blog link. So now the graphics are getting better. The obviously the narrative has always been great from the beginning. I remember doing one video earlier which didn't have such good graphics. At least it was one notch or two notches below this. This is now it's creating decent. I mean, it's not the best, but there is a significant improvement from
Yeah.
when it started to now. It's just phenomenal. I think.
Forgetting about everything else, the perfectly watchable and interesting video,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
And I think that's where it lies. I think now there's the government's coming out with these rules, right? That says that, for example, content created with AI needs to be tagged as such. I think on
correct.
YouTube, I think that you're seeing that this is generative AI,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Those
yeah.
things are being come. I think the gap will close even more.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
won't be
So
able to
that
tell.
was just incredible. I made that video. Like, I have to show you guys this because it
Yeah.
wasn't about the story, but it was that. But from the story itself, I think the play of AI helped solve this. Not solve necessarily. It's the
Point it in the
fact
right
that
direction.
yeah, it's the
Yeah.
fact that it was such a multi-million-dollar waste. They had installed, I think, 120 such rabbits, each costing about $4,000. And that felt like a complete waste until they decided they'll use AI to figure out, what are the other data that can be used.
Yeah.
So some
I
very
think one thing,
cool.
there's a couple of comments, right?
Mm.
So I don't know if you can tweak. I mean, I know there is you can also tweak the prompt for the video and add a few things, right?
Right.
So for example, one of the things is I was looking forward to is is there some more depth into how AI figured out
Mm.
um, those
The data.
pathways
Yeah.
and what do they
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah.
I mean there is maybe I know
Yeah,
that in
it's
the
not in the
audio version
public
you can.
domain. In the
Hmm.
YouTube that I watched or I gave it as a source, they don't even talk about what are the
Okay.
things that they did. They just said the fact that there is a junior team member stumbled upon this data and decided to feed it into AI. Now they haven't said what AI, what model, what were the findings or the this thing. But yeah, they managed to use, that's all. But I will dig up more on this for sure.
No, I mean, so the question is, for example, let's say if you're building it for a brand, right? And you take it to the main guy, and the guy says, "Okay, I want, this slide to be changed, or this to be changed," right? So how well is it? Can you, tweak it uh,
So
to follow instructions and do it? I mean, I think that's one question.
yeah, that by default, like it just creates. It doesn't. There is no separate prompt that you can actually give to change specifics. Based on the inputs provided, it'll just create. So
No,
I don't
actually, no,
know.
there is a way. I mean, if you go to NotebookLM, right, when you say
Mhm.
create the video, I mean, there is a prompt box. I mean, I don't know if they removed it, but I remember it. There is a prompt box where you can say, okay, focus on this, or
Ah,
add focus on these elements.
those you
So,
can. What I meant was
uh,
like specifically edit a certain part,
mm,
like how you edit videos. That's not possible,
okay.
is what I meant. But
Mm.
what it generates, it's is completely up to the model itself, including the podcast that they generate, right? There is no, like you can't really remove whatever. You can say things like this, which is focusing on this aspect or stressing on one particular source
What will
more than
happen
the
when you
other.
mentioned that? That's actually very interesting, thought. What I'm saying is, so basically, what will I think happen is a lot of the time, will probably settle on good enough. We might not be completely satisfied, right? But we'll say, yeah, you know what, it's too much trouble
No,
to
but I,
change
I
those.
feel, but I feel, I think the rate at which this is improving, it's only a
Hmm.
matter of time. I don't think,
It's a
we're going to be
permanent.
like it's good enough. But I think it'll reach a point where this is it. This is this is
No,
we
I think
don't
no.
need to like
So no,
go.
I agree on the, it'll do its job, right? But I think where I also struggle with these, I mean, some of these tools is, you giving clear instructions and it following that instructions for a bit of
Right.
time, and I'll actually talk about some of it now. I mean, after this probably conversation.
Uh,
So I mean, I'm sure there'll be some tool. Somebody will build a tool where you take a notebook element. Maybe one of the first prompts is, okay, call notebook element, generate the
mm,
video, and then you sort of
mm.
you can edit screen by screen, right? I think that's a workflow that could be built, right?
Correct. Correct.
AI does the heavy lifting, does
Correct.
80% of the work, and then
Yeah.
every screen you can go and edit it, and then there itself you can use Nano Banana or something like that to just edit that
Create.
Regenerate.
and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be very interesting. Yeah. That'll be a very interesting thing to look at. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Hmm.
sure it'll come. I don't see why
No,
that'll be a
I mean, I'm sure somebody's already working on this, right? So
mm.
for example, for slides, there are a couple of companies that I know. So there is a company called Gamma.ai.
Gamma.app.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they allow you to edit slides, upload slides, edit, and then completely change it, right? So, and
Mm,
I've seen them like improve by leaps and bounds in the last 2 years. That, I mean, I've not used them very recently, but I've seen
mm,
some demos of how they've improved. So yeah, so I'm
mm.
sure video also something would be happening.
Okay, okay,
Hmm.
nice. Yeah, yeah. Just
Good.
just thought I'll share. This is what I
Right.
wanted to share today.
But
What
actually,
is any
the
what's
framing, again, like you're saying, I completely agree with what Rajesh is saying about around the heavy lifting. What I'm saying is, like, there's just so many things. We again, we were talking to a customer, we were figuring out some optimizations around, and then the head of engineering there said, dude, I need to present this to management, right? And I need this in a presentation format, and this is fine for me, but it's not good enough for them. And you need to create a presentation on it as quickly. But we're talking hours, right? He said, I'm meeting my CEO in the next, but this afternoon or something. That is the same thing. One of my guys went to this Gamma.ai, uploaded the PDF that we had created, the entire case study that we had created, everything, and bang, got it all working, downloaded, gave it to him. Said, some changes are there, but because it was so close to what he wanted, he just said, okay, screw it, just send it to me, and then I'll make the edits and do the presentation. Right? So
mm,
those are things which are, I mean, this would have taken days. I think
Yeah.
mm,
the ability to get you 80% there is unquestionable. I mean, it's just,
mm.
Right. Right.
and and it's right. Most of what most people do on a day-to-day basis is boilerplate, right? There are some tweaks,
Right.
changes, all of those things
Yeah.
that are there, but if you can get it out quickly, that is half the
Right.
battle actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think, I mean, so the big news this week, I don't know how much you guys are following, is the release of Gemini 3, right?
Mm, mm,
Uh,
mm, mm,
so, and something that I've been waiting for a few weeks now,
mm.
was checking with Dave, when it
Correct.
get released, when it's going to get
Yeah.
released. So
Yeah.
finally, it was released yesterday.
Mm,
And I think last week I spoke about this use case, right, where there was regression and all. So it is solved now.
mm.
Oh, okay.
Right. So the new version actually does, it's 90% there, right? So earlier what used to be 60%, it's 90% there. And
Excellent.
now I think some of the challenge I'm having is it following instructions to 100%, because what's happening is, it looks like this model was trained differently, right? In terms of how you prompt it, whatever prompt optimization I've done for the older model, uh, I
No
need
longer
to
work
make
as
it.
well.
Yeah, it's no longer working. I mean, what was like obvious, it's not working. So I'm just tweaking. I'm trying to.
Okay,
So
so
my
Rajesh,
entire day today was.
you're building
Uh,
a product around an AI core. How much of a fear is this? What I'm saying is, as
uh,
they do updates, as they make changes, right?
mm,
Because
Yeah.
you're testing against your use cases, etc., being made on one particular version, etc., right? And like you said, you had regression when the last version was released. It's been resolved now, but you're facing a new set of problems, right? How will AI companies like you eventually handle this? How is this going to pan out?
No, I think so. One is having a good eval set, right? So, for example, so what we have is I mean I can show you a demo also. So what we have is a whole interface where the customer can actually we and the customer as well, we can go and say, okay, what is correct, what is not correct, and what is the reason why it's not correct, right? So that is helping us build a good eval set, right? And that is something that we're using for prompt tuning also, using different tools. So I don't know whether you heard of DSPY.
No,
DSPY
I
is
haven't.
basically it's a library that is specific. It says, okay, don't write prompts. You give us the input output. We'll figure out what's the right prompt for the model. So you're not worried about, okay, which model comes. I mean, if a new model changes, it's just a matter of running that automation to generate the new prompt, right? So that is
Okay.
something that I'm still integrating. It's not 100% there yet because struggling to figure out, for example, annotation boxes, right? How do you evaluate whether the right box is where, right? I mean, text you can evaluate. Okay, the date
Right.
should be in certain format that you can evaluate, right? But
Right.
how do you so that automation is still not happening. But because we have this eval set, right? The moment Gemini was released, I ran an API request and was able to get, okay, how we are doing. I mean, bounding box, of course, I had to visually view it, but rest of the stuff I know that, okay, this thing that we fixed in the prompt is broken, right? So I think so that's one. So at least we know when a new model gets released, we know where we stand, and then we can
Right.
optimize the bit, right? I
Right.
mean, was that the question, or was it more like, okay, new features get released and you become, I mean, what your product brings, that is no longer the mode. Is
No, no,
that what?
no. No, that would be a follow-up, but I think you understood what the question was. I mean, because this dependency on, right? I think that's going to be a challenge, right? I mean, because
I mean, I think it's like any other library also, right? Let's say if a new
right,
version
right,
of a library gets released, I mean, if it
Yeah.
is a breaking change, of course, there is some iteration that you need to do to get it to that level and then release, right? So I think it's the same.
right,
And if you
right.
don't want to break, I mean, of course, you stay back on the old
On
model,
the older,
right?
right,
So what
right,
I'm also realizing is that, I mean, and this is true between the previous versions also, right? So whatever gaps we were having between what we wanted to build and what the model was able to, what we want to build and what model provided, right? Whatever custom stuff we had to do, the next model comes and we had to just completely get rid of it and then just use the new model. So I mean
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what is happening, right? So the bounding box stuff we did some, now it's not, we don't require that, it is able to do a good job, right?
right,
So
right,
so that's why, I mean, one option was, okay, should we look at other models and even maybe train for some of the issues that we were running into?
right.
I mean, that was one path, but always it felt like, okay, the next model release should actually, uh,
To
help
take
us.
care
I
of.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think,
And
yeah. So
how are you going to, like, for example, somebody signs up for your product. How are you
yeah.
going to keep basically the noisy neighbor problem that you have in the simple, straightforward hosting thing, where if somebody overusing, because all these are token based, right? And you pay on the token. So how are you going to, are you going to limit what a customer can do? Is
No,
that
so
going to
so
be
the
like
pricing is simple, right? So pricing is per document, right?
okay,
So we have different sets of documents. So we know the document range from 80 to 100 pages. Right?
right,
Could be, let's say, maximum can go to 150 also. So
right,
we know that, okay, what is the input and output cost for us, token cost, and then there
right,
is a margin on top of it, right? So that is what we give.
okay.
And the model is basically, you pay for minimum guarantee. Okay, I'm 1,000 documents per month. So you
Hmm.
pay whatever amount is, right? And any after that it's you pay as you go, which will be a little higher than the
So
per
just
document
an
cost that
overage
you're
kind
getting,
of a
right? So
thing, and
so yeah, if you use it for more, I mean you'll be charged more, right? So I think it's a usage based thing. It's not like a fixed one.
right, right. Because one of the challenges that we've always had, especially talking to enterprises in India, is everybody wants whatever you do, everybody wants a predictable fixed cost,
Right,
right? So
right,
that's
right.
yeah,
No, I think so.
that
So the model is basically, yes. I mean, so you know that, okay, you get 10,000 1,000 documents per month, right? So here's the
right.
predictable thing. But when
Uh-huh.
there is an when overage, we
Change.
can definitely discuss that. I mean,
Okay.
we've not closed a customer yet. It's not like
Okay.
I'm talking through experience or anything. It's just based on conversations.
Okay.
Maybe we might
Okay.
run into what you're saying.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Indian customers are hard to work with. That's the
No,
takeaway,
yeah, that's.
typically.
I mean, the
Great.
other thing I'm also realizing is that the expectation wise, right? They expect the models to work better than their current team from an
Correct.
accuracy standpoint.
Right. So
So,
that
so
is
I think
always that.
that's
It works better. It is cheaper. It's a win-win-win-win-win right around. Right? Trying to
right,
convince somebody that you're going to do a better job, it doesn't necessarily, it's not going to be cheaper. It's a very, very hard sell. Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Hmm.
Good.
Cool, nice. Gemini. I'll have to look at Gemini. I haven't.
I mean, actually, there are a bunch of other things that I wanted to talk about with the Gemini release. Actually, follow up. I mean, this week, I have been told that a lot of other things also getting released. So, for example, Nano Banana version 2 might be released, which might
Oh,
help more with which might improve the Notebook LM functionality as well. I think they're
functionality.
they're using 2.5 Pro now, Notebook LM.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know, when did you generate that video? Was it yesterday or
Today,
like few
today,
days
today,
back? Oh,
today.
today. So maybe it's already using 3.
Possible. I don't know. I haven't checked. Yeah.
I mean, you'll
Today.
actually check. I mean, I'll be curious, right? Because I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
looking at the quality, it looked more like 3 than,
yeah.
if this was 2.5, then 3 will be even better.
Better. Yeah,
If
I'll
this was
check.
3,
I'll
then
check.
yeah, maybe it's already
Yeah.
there.
I was just stunned by the output. I was like, man, what is this? How much we used to spend time with teams, different, like the video production teams, animation team. And I mean, now I think the next jump will be like animate these things, right? They will probably end up animating these things instead of just still images. So yeah, interesting. I'll look at the version and I'll
I
ping
mean,
you.
actually, that's also coming, right? Google, you heard of Flow?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Flow from
yeah,
OpenAI.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
so they already do this. And
yeah.
Vio
VO
from Google,
anyways.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I think
Anyone
another
tried
release of
VO?
Vio
I
is
haven't
also.
tried VO yet. I've been meaning to try VO. Have you
No,
ever?
you should have it. No, I mean, which plan do you have? Google, you have a Google One plan or the enterprise Google plan account?
Uh, I have the enterprise for the work thing. I don't know. I need to
I,
check.
I, I, I think you should have that. I mean, I also have
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
At least it has enough credits for you to try,
Try.
get
No,
like at
yeah. I
least.
haven't tried it. I need to try that actually.
Even I
Yeah.
haven't tried actually. One more thing is because because it is that workspaces thing, right?
Mm.
The admin has to specifically enable and
Yeah,
Ah,
which user kind of a thing, right? So
yeah.
I haven't checked in some time. I
No,
haven't
they've
checked that.
also increased the price now.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, Also Gemini price of Gemini 3 is almost 1.5 times or 1.25 to 2, right? So
yeah,
costlier than the 2.5 Pro. So we're also thinking in optimizing input and output token cost.
yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So next week we can probably dig a little deep into Gemini. Rajesh can tell us more about.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, the next week I'll be there, but the week after that, I mean, the entire month I'm traveling. So December
Yeah,
I won't be able
December
to
we
join.
will not have this. We'll restart in Jan.
Okay.
December anyway, I
Sure,
think
sure.
most people will be traveling. So we'll only have one more session and then we'll restart in Jan.
Sure, sure. Sounds
Right,
good.
Super.
Cool.
right.
See you guys. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much. See
Right.
you.
I'll talk to you
Bye
soon.
bye.